there was the hashtag Occupy Parliament, where Kenyans headed over into Parliament in order for them to just have their voices. Our reporters around the CBD running battles with the police and the protesters. We've also seen in Nakuru some of the developments right there, and in Mombasa as well. And before the Azimio presser, we were just looking at Mombasa and seeing what was going on there. People running just from the police, and the police trying to just bring order. And even before the crackdown of today, a majority of businesses within the Nairobi Central Business District, that is CBD, were closed, and a few that gambled to open just pretty much just shut down at around 9 or even 10 a.m. And as youth-led process across the CBD, just saying that with the hashtag of trying to just say that they need to be heard and they would like the president to just hear them out. And so the enterprises within the CBD, several other parts of Nairobi, and also areas coming into Nairobi, the shops, supermarket outlets, restaurants, and even hawkers who sell on the street stayed away as Kenyans took over the streets earlier today, and that is what has been going on the rest of the day. And at the Nairobi Securities Exchange, also just trying to look at what this effect will have on businesses. We've seen cars raised down by fire, as you can see in your screen there, right there in Mombasa, and also people trying to gather around Kangemi as well. And in Mombasa, earlier on, we saw running battles with the police from just maybe trying to run to safety in order for them to get away from the police. And when we look at the economic overview across the country throughout this day, yet again, it has taken a hit amid a process over proposing to introduce the just economic measures that have widely been rejected. And we saw last week what took place on Tuesday and Thursday as well. And according to the Federation of Kenya Employers last week, it noted that the closure of businesses in Nairobi and other major towns, which are across, of course, Nairobi, would not only affect the livelihoods of business owners, but also their employees. Now we are just going to get in touch with Kirui, who was right there in Lavington. Jeff Kirui, who was in Lavington, and he's going to just bring us the latest. Jeff, you've attended this particular presser by Azimio. They've brought out some major issues that they want to take place. Just bring us up to speed what took place.
Well, Nyakundi, indeed, the Central Management Committee, actually this is not Azimio, this is the Central Management Committee of the ODM party, and this particular meeting was chaired by the party leader, Raila Odinga, and they have agreed on 7 key issues, and among them actually is that they are calling on the president to listen to what the youth are saying in regards to what the country has witnessed in the past 2 weeks, the demonstrations, the killings, and the mayhem that has been witnessed within the Central Business District in Nairobi and other major towns in the country. And they're telling him that he needs to listen to the youth. And actually one of the questions that was posed to them was whether they support the calls for Ruto to resign. And the Secretary General of the party was very categorical that everybody has heard what the youth are saying, simply to imply that they are also supporting the calls for Ruto to resign. So those are some of the issues. And again, there is also another aspect that they have begun the process of recalling members of parliament, 6 members of parliament who participated, or rather who voted for the Finance Bill 2024 in the National Assembly against the wishes of the ODM party that had directed its members that they need to vote no for that particular bill. And some of these constituencies is actually Gem, that is represented by Member of Parliament Elisha Odhiambo. There is Bondo constituencies, there is Navaholo, there is Kajiado Central, Ikolomani, and Suba South. Now, the issue right now about that statement is that there is no IEBC in office currently. The commission is not in place. So the question now being raised is who will conduct the elections when they begin the process of recalling these members of parliament. So that is a dilemma that also has to be addressed when the party moves ahead with this decision to recall members. But as it stands now, they are also putting to task the president about the manner in which police have used excessive force in dealing with protesters. And they're telling him that he will also be held responsible in how these protests turn out, whether protesters will be dealt with in a manner that is not agreeable by the law or using excessive force. The president will be held responsible as well. So that is just a nutshell of what was happening today at the Central Management Committee meeting of the ODM party. Kelvin.
All right, Kirui, thank you so much for that. And now, before we let you go, the Secretary General said that they consider this to be Kenya's last best chance. What does this mean to Kenyans?
Well, in essence, what the ODM party is saying, that you know, remember that the ODM party, or rather the Azimio, has been pushing for accountability in this government. When we saw them conducting demonstrations in the country that bashed the narco team that gave out some recommendation on how to change the governance in this country. But now that has stalled. So when the youth, the Gen Zs, came out and started protesting, calling for accountability in President William Ruto's regime, calling out for the wastage in government, corruption, the show of opulence, they're saying this is the only opportunity for the country to change the manner in which the leadership is, or rather the country is being led. And they're saying that this is an opportunity to have leaders who are listening to the people, the needs of the people, considering that they are accusing the current Kenya Kwanza regime of turning a deaf ear to what the people are saying about the finance bill. So that is why perhaps they're saying this is the last bit in changing how this country is being governed.
All right, and lastly, the Secretary General also brought out that 50 individuals so far, according to the reports that they have, is that 50 individuals have been illegally abducted so far. So therefore, are we seeing them coming out and just trying to look for these particular people? And also, what are some of the legal...
Nivea Pearl and Beauty Deodorant with natural pearl extracts and avocado oils for soft, smooth, and beautiful underarms. The perfect balance of 48-hour protection and care with delicate fragrances. Feel the power of pearls. Nivea Pearl and Beauty for soft, smooth, and beautiful underarms. Try our new Pearl and Beauty Black Pearl for smooth and perfumed underarms.
This leadership of the Azimio going actually to inquire about his whereabouts. But the president came out to say that he was not abducted but arrested by police. So what the ODM party is calling for is that the rule of law must be adhered to, even when it comes to people being arrested or being held by police, and that if somebody is being held by police, they should be produced in court within 24 hours. That is stipulated by the law.
Jeff, thank you so much for bringing us up to date on that particular front. And we will be the Central Committee of the ODM party, which has brought about issues saying that they are going to they want the president to come out and listen to the young people. They've also just brought about very, very critical issues when it comes to the abductions that are being that have been happening within the country. And they've said that according to the reports that they have is that 50 individuals so far are being illegally held, or they've been abducted, and they would want that these particular abductions to stop going forward. So therefore, we'll just be keeping tabs with that and bringing you up to speed, especially when it comes to the developments on that particular front with the ODM party. All right, so therefore on your screens, we are at the CBD, Nairobi CBD, and it seems like the running battles have now calmed down, but we are also seeing that police are trying to just maintain calm and peace around the CBD, making sure that they are maintaining order in that particular area. And as we were speaking earlier, we spoke about the businesses and trying to look at The businesses across the CBD and even different areas within Nairobi that have been closed for the better part of today. And also when we look at Thursday last week and Tuesday as well last week, this affected some of the developments that are supposed to be taking place, especially when it comes to the economy and the contribution of these particular businesses towards the economy. And as the Federation of Kenya employers last week spoke and just noted that the closure of businesses in Nairobi and other major towns across Nairobi will not only affect the livelihoods of business owners and their employees, but also the economy. So therefore, what are these particular closures contribution into the economy, and what does this mean going forward? Remember, businesses have not fully recovered from the COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, the Finance Act of 2023 that which had a far-reaching impact on their operations. As we can remember, last year, the Finance Act also had introduced some of taxes that are still being held up to now. Now, the current protests have exacerbated these challenges, creating an environment of uncertainty and anxiety among employers, employees, and Kenyans as a whole. And the disruption is also affecting the business community around Nairobi, around different towns, as we've seen in Nakuru, in Mombasa, and around different areas within Nairobi. We'll be just looking at what this means going forward, in especially the businesses that have closed the rest of the day. Now, the disruption is also affecting continuity and productivity, which many workers are unable to access their workplaces safely. Many people are working from home today, and that was the same case last week on Thursday and Tuesday, leading to delays and potential financial losses. This is from FKE Executive Director, who was speaking and saying that workplaces are not being accessed anymore when it comes to Tuesday and Thursday, which are the days of the protests, and the concerns and voices of the young people are coming out and saying that the president needs to listen to various calls into order in the country. And earlier on, Azimio coalition, the Azimio, of course, the ODM party came out, and the Central Committee of the ODM party came out and gave their statement saying that families who have lost their loved ones are supposed to be taken care of, and some of the injured and still in hospital, and condemned the police on the abuse of power, and they also condemn the ongoing arbitrary abductions, saying that they are not supporting any of the abductions that are taking place. They've also brought out a point and said a few of the leaders, of course, need to listen to what the people are saying, and they've said that President William Ruto needs to come out and listen to what the young people are talking about. And when we look at the abductions that are taking place, their statement is saying that 50 individuals so far have been illegally abducted, and they would consider this to be Kenya's last best chance. That's what they are talking about. They also say that the Kenya Kwanza regime needs to take full responsibility of the current situation in the country. Of course, they're also saying that they need to account for an order for the release of detainees, the people who've been detained, the people who've been detained due to the protests that have been taking place within the country.
Silence. hata wote. Hautaki kuonekane kwa TV. Ako live anapiga report hapa.